NASA is going to be going out into space and taking and lassoing an asteroid. You know, like Yippee-ki-yi-yay, motherfucker. They're gonna go out in space with a remote probe that's gonna basically use solar sails, so you know it'll have power. And it's gonna go out and grab an asteroid. It's about the asteroid's not gonna be very big. It's gonna be about 25 feet. So it's it's a big rock. Basically, it just happened to be out there floating around, and they're gonna park it next to the moon. Now, one thing I should tell them: if they do this, make sure you put money in the meter. Otherwise, you know, the toll parking attendant will come out and, you know, we'll get charged up the ass.
They'll boot that asteroid.
Yeah, they'll put a boot on the asteroid, and then we'll have to have it get it unblocked. You know, it's a big pain in the ass. Now,
if it gets impounded, that's just a huge fee.
Yes, it is, actually. Actually, this 25-foot asteroid is about 500 tons. That's actually quite significant. They're going to be out there when they capture this. They're going to be doing this out in 2019, and they hope to get out there to nuzzle up next to it. Somebody out there was obviously didn't get any nookie the night before, so they used the word nuzzle.
Yes, they did.
Yes, and they're going to get up next to this asteroid in 2021. Now, they said that there's no gravity on this asteroid because, you know, it's 25 feet. You can go out and find a 25-foot rock and barely stand on it. But if you're out in space and find a 25-foot rock, there's not going to be much pull on it because there's not enough mass. This was introduced back several years ago, but Bush said, when Bush was in office, said, we don't think that'd be useful for science. Bullshit! It's very useful for science. So, and it's about time that the scientific community was able to say, hey, yeah, this is going to be useful. What's going to happen here in the next few years, well, maybe next 20 years or so, is the asteroid Apophis is going to be doing a flyby. I've been hearing speculation that it may actually come pretty close to the Earth, or actually we talked about this in the after show, that there's actually talk that it might actually strike us. So this will actually give us a leg up. So if we have an asteroid that's coming within our range that could actually hit us, we could actually get out there, throw this, well, baggie is what they call it, lasso around it, pull it out of orbit so it doesn't hit us. At least, hopefully, anyway. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, they've talked about this before, but this mission is only in the early stages. The money is slated so far is only so NASA can look for a candidate asteroid.
Right.
If they eventually fly this mission, it would be a great engineering milestone and a skill that would be helpful, as you mentioned, to if we one day had to deflect a dangerous near-Earth asteroid, or if it's shown that asteroids contain precious metals, they can be harvested and mined.
Right.
This article in particular came out a few days before the 2014 budget, and since then, some members of Congress have reintroduced an old bill called the Real Space Act, or the Reasserting American Leadership in Space Act.
Gotcha.
So, if this bill passes, it would focus NASA not so much on the asteroid rodeo, but landing people on the moon as soon as 2022 with the intentions of establishing a moon base.
Oh, there you go. That'd be kind of cool. This way, yeah, if we could land them on a rock that's 25 feet, maybe they can land them on the moon again.
All over again.
All over again. And they'll go up there, and we'll eventually have a moon base up there, and then we can, if you've ever seen Futurama, then we'll have space bugs, the bugs that look like milk dust. Never mind.
Raise alien species.
Raise alien bugs for milk. I'm just kidding. Medusa, your thoughts?
Those are my thoughts. Raise alien species. You could put a base on the moon. International, other countries.
Right.
Be comprehensive.
Right.
I don't know what Joe said. I just think it's neat that they're getting use of the Orion spacecraft. Is how they're getting the manpower over there. Right, Joseph?
Yes, I'm happy that they're moving forward with the Orion program. We do need a replacement spaceship for the American space program.
Yes, we do, actually.
Absolutely. So that's what excites me about it. And I went so far as to Google the Orion spacecraft and was looking lovingly over all of its curves and whatnot. And
it's a sexy beast.
We need a new one of those.
It's definitely cool. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I was at the Kennedy Space Center a few years ago, I actually sat in a mock-up of the Orion.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How
It's very
fun is
spacious
that?
inside.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, it was something that big. You know, maybe it didn't have a dining room set too, did it? I'm just kidding.
Well, it's designed so that all the seats can fold against the walls and have this big open space.
Oh.
And like all the equipment, it like attaches and detaches from the wall, so they can move it around and customize it as they need. So it's definitely a cool like next gen spaceship.
Oh, good. Then we can throw Cotillion out in space.
It's super cool. That's as technical as I can get.
Yeah. I just hope they remember how to fire off a rocket, because we've been using the space shuttle for so long, we've kind of forgotten old technology, and you're like, how do these rocket things work again? So yeah,
What's the red button do?
that's the stop button, isn't it? True Surge, your thoughts?
Well, he mentioned the Kennedy Space Center and just brought a memory back to me. I went there. I think I was in the 10th grade, and I went there, and it was one of those class trips.
Yeah.
And it was, when you're in the 10th grade and you go to places like that, it's like everything's awesome. It's just oh my God, like, how come I have never seen this before?
Right.
It's just, we got in a big centrifuge. Is that what you call them? Centrifuge or
something like
whatever,
that.
Where you stand against a wall and they spin the thing and it puts like 3 G's on you.
Yeah.
And
I see those at the fair.
Yeah. So, and I've always been one of the people who loved science, all along the way. I loved chemistry and physics and stuff like that. I love science. I love discovery and how we're able to figure things out. But of course, I always try to bring up the concept of, is this going to give us a big ROI? What's our return on this investment? And, is it something that, some things seem like, okay, let's do that. And then other things. So maybe maybe lassoing an asteroid is cool, but I'm just not so sure about populating Mars with colonists and things like that.
I want to get up there with our microwave hot dogs and Twinkies and things like that, and just see them littered across the surface.
Well, that's one idea.
Moon dust.
Yeah, rolling around in the moon dust. Yeah. So.
We can make moon dust angels.
I'm all for it. I mean, if they can, learn some things, like Joe was saying, if they can establish some things that would help us in the future, maybe there are some things that we could do to, kind of make sure that we don't get blasted by some bigger asteroid.
Oh yeah, that would really suck.
I think that's the intention behind this.
Well, they said that's actually not the intention, but it's no, it's not the intention. They just I guess they just want to be able to see if it's well, it's both. They say it's both cutting edge and doable, but that's actually not the actual.
What is the intent, Packard?
Well, the intent I think is just so to see if they see if they can do it, and so this way if we go into like say mining operations, which have been talked about, we actually talked about this on the show. Instead of having to go way out to go out to the asteroid, we can just bring it out to us, which actually in the long run saves us a lot of money, because those asteroids, if we bring it in, it's about 10,000 miles, whereas if we have to go out and then put a crew out there or more robots further out, something goes wrong, it's harder to fix and repair. So this way, if it's in orbit with us, we can get up there pretty fairly easily and go turn the screw or whatever got screwed up.
You know what I was wondering?
What's that?
Is before and after Jupiter in its orbit, its path of orbit, it has small groups of asteroids called Trojans. And I've heard that other planets have them too, and I was wondering, does Earth have them? Because those, I think, would be the easiest ones to go after. They were talking about waiting for one to fly by and go and catch it. Well, if there's a small group ahead of us in our orbit and behind us in our orbit, just go grab one of those. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. There is a ring of asteroids we actually fly through every year. That's why we get those in certain times of the year. We get those asteroid showers. So there's a small belt of those that we actually fly through every year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we could actually grab one of those as we're going through through that belt, as it were, and then find something. And now, what's interesting here is that if one of them, if it say screws up and the rockets blow up or whatever, and they start shooting it right towards Earth, since this rocket, it's about 500 tons. It's actually smaller than the one that hit Russia back in February. So if it were to hit our atmosphere, if it came in at a good angle, which I've learned is that why it didn't explode the way it did. If it came in at a certain angle or whatever, it would just burn up.